So today's session is about understanding, how this industry is shaping up in India, how how is the role evolving, how are the businesses thinking about community investments, how can you stay relevant in this industry, and what is the future going to look like. To introduce myself, I'm Nipun Goyal. I'm the founder and CEO of LikeMinds and sort of chief volunteer for Community Hood, which is a community of about 1,300 now community builders and founders, where we try to sort of democratize knowledge of community building. We generally do these events every alternate week, where we invite some of the people and discuss some of the challenges which we hear from different community builders and founders, and we address them, and we then document that knowledge that we are sort of accumulating in these events. LikeMinds is basically a plug and play infra that powers in-app communities or custom community platforms, using which you can launch community platforms of your own within a few minutes. And I've been building communities for last 8 years professionally, and since childhood, probably informally. So yeah, that's a bit about me. I want to quickly introduce my co-host for today. She's someone who I've known for a while now. So Neha is a community strategist and a builder who actually changed gears to her career from an HR to community, even when the community industry was very early and it was not even a buzzword. She's worked with BabyChakra, where she built a community of 3 million young Indian parents, and then she sort of worked at Quora, where she created knowledge specific community of tens of thousands of users, and she's such a passionate advocate for community professionals, and really is empowering community builders in different ways. And I think the testimony to that is her being with CMX India for a while, and recently sort of taking the position of director for CMX India. So welcome, Neha. It's such a good such a good event. I'm hoping that will come out of today's discussion, and really looking forward to marry the global learnings from CMX and the local learnings from our previous experience.
So hello everyone, and thanks so much, Pavan and Shruti, for joining. We're really hoping we have a really quality discussion where you all go back with some concrete takeaways.
So I want to invite Pavan Roshwani. Pavan is currently EIR at inFeedo. He has very recently joined them, but a lot of us already know Pavan from his previous stint at Pepper Content. But just sort of completing the inFeedo experience. So inFeedo is an HR professional focused tech that they're building, and Pavan is sort of now going to be the voice of CHROs by building a close community of HR professionals. At Pepper, I think Pavan has done a lot of interesting work. Within 1 year, he actually help them, grow their community from 5,000 to 100,000 freelancers, and he's on a mission to build this whole creativepreneurs, helping creators to become entrepreneurs. So welcome, Pavan. Very glad to have you today.
It feels like I have a lot of work to do in life. It's not like that, but hi Nipun, hi Neha. Thanks for having me here, and it's awesome to see so many people were interested deeply in a topic like this. So this is going to be a fun session and very insightful that I can surely tell to everybody.
Neha, you want to introduce our final guest for today?
Sure. Folks, please meet Shruti Agarwal. And Shruti is heading community and partnerships at Go Global, and is, even more popularly known for being part of the founding team at D2C Insider community. I'm sure you would have come across D2C at some point in time until now. The core belief of keep learning and keep hustling is what she believes in, and she has about 16 plus years of experience in e-commerce startups and established brands. She specializes in e-commerce technology, business consulting, ecosystem management, catalog management, online marketing, customer service, marketplace management, omni-channel solutions, cross-border training, and of course, community building, which she is really good at.
I'm really excited that whatever we are doing in our daily lives, I think when we started community, we've not thought that this is going to be so huge. And I'm glad that this community trend and it's becoming a mainstream for the business, for any kind of business. And there are so many folks who are keen to learn more and build businesses around it. So happy to be the part of this discussion and excited to see so many people interested. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
What are some of the positive signs and inhibitions that you currently see from businesses, to increase or decrease investment in community? How do you see it, in your current company, past company, and maybe other brands in the industry, especially from a B2B perspective?
Yeah, actually, from a very B2B SaaS point of view, right? It's been really positive because we have seen the dependency on performance marketing sort of reducing. And companies don't want to have very short-sighted kind of marketing approach, and they want to have a really long-sighted kind of approach. So they're investing into communities because they know it will give them the results and fruits after maybe 6 months, 9 months, or even a year kind of a time. And also, in fact, because the macro conditions now have forced the companies to sort of reduce their budgets on performance spends or other, let's say, massive video campaigns that they might usually do, to really put their focused energy into something like a long-term thing like a community. And if you look at, let's say, Go Relay by ChargeBee or Springworks in the HR Tech has a Shape of Works community. And of course, there are a lot of independent communities like SaaS Boomi who are in the B2B SaaS space, S11S and other folks like that. All their founders are very deeply invested and involved in day-to-day activities also of the community. I see Krish from ChargeBee being very active in their forum and being part of the webinars and all those things. So I think from an investment point of view and from a very just the perspective point of view, it has been really positive, at least in the last 1-2 years that I've observed. Now, how I see this in the HR tech industry, which is really new for me. I mean, even previously when I was in MarTech, it was okay, yaar, marketers to har kisi se connected hi hote hai. But in the HR tech industry also, we have quite a few players like an ETHR or People Matters, SHRM and folks like that. But what we are trying to do at inFeedo right now is, we want to become the voice of CHROs. We want to understand the people so deeply and connect to them so deeply that it sort of helps us build product development really in depth. It's not at all from a sales point of view. We don't see community as a sales model for us. We are more connecting and relationship building for them. So I think this is a common trend that I've seen across the B2B SaaS space.
Shruti, quickly, jumping gears, would love to hear your commentary on how is this happening, especially D2C communities have seen an uptick in recent years, right? With a lot of brands wanting to create communities and actually making a sincere effort to get closer to their customers, and you've been bringing together the entire D2C founder network. So what are you hearing on the ground? Is community the new marketing? Are more companies looking to invest in building their own communities?
Earlier it was a set of people and loyal customers, which is now converting to communities. And if I see D2C, I think D2C space in itself has come with a lot of innovation. Whether it's product, whether it is the marketing, whether it is the kind of they engage with the end customer, or it's very engaging, right from PMF to everything. So of course, community building is on top of their funnel. The way they see, I believe every community has to have something, right? Just for example, in D2C, we have a mission, and there's a different mission that is going in order to achieve that mission, we have some senior folks coming in. And when you run a community, you also need to understand for what you're building a community. Of course, if you have some 4,000 members, the community is not going to achieve and satisfy all those 4,000 members, right? So what are your top priority and what is your least priority? The other thing is, when you are segregating your community members, how you are adding value in each funnel. Like when we create businesses, then 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 500 crore businesses. First of all, the understanding is what is that they want, and how can you create some cohorts where they're also getting help and seeing value add from the community. What is the sticky factor for them to be the part of the community? I think these are basic factors which play a very important role. And I think even the brands, there are a lot of brands in D2C space who are building communities. The idea is for what they're building, like do they want to actually, it's an invite only community, and do they want to share some discounted products with them only, which is exclusive, and it's a kind of a different fan club, or is it for retention? Is it for influencing marketing? So they need to understand what the community they're building for. And I think if that is clear, you can achieve what you want to drive, because then the interested folks are there and the engagement is happening.
Got it. I think very, very valid comment on, what is the goal and like how some of the marketing efforts and budget is now shifting to community as well. Like I'm seeing a lot of founders now thinking of community first, as an efficient way to sort of, acquire as well as retain their potential customers. And I think with the funding winter also, I think it's actually happening where like mindless marketing budgets which were being spent earlier are now being cut, and some part of that is actually going into experimental budget towards community building. Now it's upon us community builders to make sure, how do we sort of get that budget justified and, sustained? How do we convert that experimental budget to an ongoing budget? So that's our next section, and Neha, would love to have you lead that.
So going back again, Shruti, what are you seeing here? A lot of D2C brands are investing in communities, but how are they kind of demonstrating value of investing in these communities? Any commentary there?
I think the space is overall business is very new in terms of understanding and figuring it out whether it is a good investment to make in the communities or not. What they understand is, I think there are 2-3 metrics that they figure it out is how many new members are getting added, and what is the engagement level of each community in today's time. The other thing, I think, when you're building a community, they understand that you need to give some time to grow a community organically, because if you push too much, it will collapse. People who are joining, and if they see the admin person is actually sending few messages on a daily basis, they see it as a spam group, right? So when you're building a community, whether it's a community or another spam group, you have to make the difference for the people who are coming in. The first thing is the the active channel, whether it is the by default channel that you're using, which is like the tool that you're using for, just for example, for us, it was WhatsApp by default. There is no second thought on that. The other thing is how many members are there and how many active members are there. The second thing, are you giving some time to grow that organically and building engagement within the members so that their interest levels are aligned? The fourth thing is, are you able to take out the problems from, for example, if there are products and there are some wrong feedbacks, are you addressing that? The other thing is also with those feedbacks, you can come up with new SKUs. I'm just talking about D2C brand, right? So you also get the insight of building new products around, which are actually, tomorrow, if I know that there is a product which is demanded by 50 people, I know I have a ready-made 50 customers for this product, right? What is the pricing? What is the costing? That's secondary. But at least I have customers in the first hand. So I think it's not just about, as I see that there are dollars aligned to it, I always see when you see a gap and build businesses around it. I always believe, don't try to make your community as commercial. For example, members community is okay, but are you able to provide the value that you're charging for, to the members? What value add they're getting? Because at one point, it will become very boring and they will not renew their membership. And we have seen this with quite big businesses like IMI, etc., that there are people, they see value and that's why they keep renewing it. So, these are the few metrics that we need to focus on. And if that's there, I think and community is a long term, right? So it's not like ki ek saal chalaya, nahi chal raha hai, chalo band kar dete hain. It is a matter of building a community for 4 to 5 years and then seeing the hit overall. So that's the idea. So I think patience is a key there. And keep building. If you don't want to invest, don't invest, but let it build organically.
I remember, years back when Mama Earth was building community and had entered the market and they had launched products. As part of their interaction with the community, they realized that a lot of mothers were struggling with colic babies, and they actually came up with this product, which was a tummy rub, which was typically made of, extracts from hing, etc., which kind of resonated with mothers because it goes back to kind of, talks to them about the fact that it's a home remedy, which a lot of mothers typically use, but they may not know how to do this. And here is an easy to use product. And I remember that product was a blockbuster for Mama Earth. So I think, listening to feedback from your community, co-creating products with them and continuing to provide value is the theme that I'm hearing. Pawan, I wanted to bring you in now. Can you talk a little bit about how can B2B communities measure the success of their community building efforts and demonstrate the value to their stakeholders?
Yeah, by stakeholders, you mean the leadership team?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Super. Let me answer the first one first because the second one is a little funny answer. So about the metrics, right, and I think from what we had in the options also. So I really look at active members, not like new members, total members and all of that, but really active members, because that would like really help me understand, okay, how many are like happy or, what kind of questions they are putting and all those things. Second is, let's say the NPS, like we constantly, I think would on Slack, like create like automated bots that will DM them that how likely are you to refer this community to some other people. So we would evaluate that NPS score and then figure out, okay, there's something wrong that we are doing. Maybe the kind of content or the kind of events that we are doing are not something that are relevant to these members. So what can we tweak into that? So I think that NPS score was like really, really important for me. And then more business value. I think what we see in the B2B SaaS space, right? Like if we see that somebody has been really active in the community and that customer has got like an upsell or cross-sell within the existing product suite, that sort of like helps us to really evaluate the value about it. Or if it is a non-customer who's part of the community and then they make a purchase, some or the other way, we are kind of influencing that purchase to them. So I think that's the third thing that we primarily look after. Now, how do you really communicate to the leadership, right? A lot of times they don't understand this, no matter how much you're going to try to explain them that, we have put in so much of effort behind this one campaign and, doing these things. It's really difficult because they have too many things in their head. In general, in startup world, it is like a firefighting that's happening on an everyday basis, right? So I think it's a lot on how, on a personal level, you can build the confidence with them. I think they might not sometimes find the value, okay, what metrics are you bringing to the table? But if they find confidence in you as a person, as a head of community or whatever community manager, they would be at least satisfied and, at sigh of relief sometimes. Because they might be okay with, let's say, having lesser convergence from the community. That's okay because they also understand it's a long-term game. I think everybody today understands that it's a long-term game. Every founder who's investing into this, they know that. So they kind of have that patience. But at the same time, you have to build confidence as a head of community or community manager. I think that becomes really important. One thing that I used to often do is anytime somebody posts a screenshot about something that has happened in our forum on Twitter or LinkedIn and everything, I would put that in our general Slack channel or in our work WhatsApp group, where entire company is there, to really show them that, okay, there is some value that's constantly building on an everyday basis. So I think some of these, you probably have to be the head of marketing of the community also, and just figure out how you can internally boost about the success that you are achieving on an everyday basis. So I think apart from the leading indicators like the metrics, the lagging indicators like how well are you doing on a daily basis becomes really important in the B2B SaaS space.
Right. And I think also for the fact that, this last point that you make is very interesting around events, right? And I think, given the fact that, let's say we're seeing an increasing trend of in-real events, in-person events, I think, being very thoughtful about what these events are going to achieve, what are some metrics or outcomes that you're targeting at towards the end of these events, and how are you kind of then going back and communicating the value of these events is again, things to kind of really think about as well. And I think just a couple of other learnings perhaps that I will share towards the end, but I want to kind of bring in Nipun to share some of his thoughts of what he's hearing.
I think one thing that I'm fairly certain, and I try to sort of practice in our own organization as well, is think of the larger, and most, at least startups have quarterly OKRs. Look at OKRs of different teams in the organization and see which all sort of metrics and objectives can you hit for the other teams as well. Have your own ones as well. But, see wherever is potentially the CEO focused most, because I've seen communities can add multiple values, right? It's not just acquisition or retention or referral, right? So if the company is more focused on acquisition, as a community, can you get more, let's say, mentions on LinkedIn, right? So that could be one metric where you can say, hey, we got a lot of people to talk about us on LinkedIn, and that's directly marries to the goals of the marketing team of getting these things out. The other thing could be, let's say, can you create enough testimonials for the marketing team to use them for, let's say, their marketing efforts? So look for what is the larger objective of the organization that you are working with for the current quarter or current, let's say, 6 months, and then think of your objectives of the community directly leading to those sort of objectives and key results. Would love to hear from our experts today. Shruti, given how people have responded, I'm positively surprised that a lot of our community builders are now thinking about strategies. What do you think is the difference between, let's say, global community builders and Indian community builders in terms of their responsibilities and roles that they play, both full-time as well as the side roles that they do?
I think it's not about building the community, but the members. I mean, if you see in North or any other country, America, etc., the people are very nice. I mean, if you're doing something, they're very courteous, and they will do something which will make you feel happy. इंडिया में वो वाला उतना कल्चर है नहीं जो अब बिल्ड हो रहा है थोड़ा सा, कि जब आप करो तो वो थैंक यू वाला कल्चर, आई एम ग्लैड, all these cultures are building. Otherwise it's a very straightforward country, right? So I think it's not about how much effort you're putting. Communities were always there. That's what I feel. If you see the places where parents were staying and the kind of help people were giving, it was a different community, right? But that time the definition of community was very different. Unless you don't know someone personally and they're the part of some group, they are the community. But now today, the community has expanded in a very different manner, where you probably don't even know the other person, but still they're the part of your community and they expect something from you. Yeah. I think in order to run the community and make sure that the value is there, and even in international communities, the idea is strategy always plays an important role. But when you are engaging with few people or with the people, I think and for example, we have created some thesis and mission also, and the playbook, that these are the things that we will do and these are the things we will never do. Even as a community admin, have we created those guidelines? I think moreover, sometimes you are also very emotional, and it's a kind of sometimes you feel it's a kind of talking only, we have to be very casual, etc. But even keeping those things aside, it's more about, are you actually defining the clear vision, and you are clear about what you want to do from the community, and do you have the guidelines even for you to follow? If that's there, I think everything is in line. The strategy and everything, for example, when we have a D2C, now we are thinking कि जो bottom of the funnel है और जो top of the funnel है उसको क्या value add दे, right? How can we increase the bottom of the funnel like the bootstrap companies and everything, and how can we add value to a companies like 100 to 500 crore business? What is that they're looking at? So every community will have a different problems and will need to create different strategies, and it cannot be defined in a single word, right? You only know what's the problem with the community, how you can strategize, how you need to work around. But I think guidelines is very important. क्या कर सकते हैं? There is no limit. क्या नहीं करना चाहिए? I think if that's defined, you are done with it.
So not just focus on what you can do, but also focus on what you do not want to do. Very interesting.
One should focus on what you should not do at all. You can do, there is no limit, right? It's a sky. You can do whatever you feel like.
Yeah. So seems like we went too much into the community strategy part, but very interesting insights. Shruti, Pawan, quick commentary on what you've seen, and apart from the data that we saw here, I still believe maybe the people who attended today are more thought leaders and aware about what community builders should do, probably closer to the global community builders. I fundamentally see most community builders in India not focusing on strategy. So that's why I was very positively surprised to see that. But that's my take. Pawan, what's your take on it? How is the role in India different than the community builders globally?
I'll tell you why that's different actually, because I think Shruti has covered a lot of bit on that, but I'll tell you why it seems a little different. Is because globally, if you'll see, the community managers, or let's say the head of community, would report to the CEO. In India, the head of community reports to the head of marketing or the CMO.
Business.
but not to the CEO or let's say the founder like directly. So I think that's where like that gap of why, like who's doing the strategy, what's released, and why they are more involved in the ops part rather than the strategic part is probably that the reason. But yeah, I think Shruti and you have covered most bits on this.
Got it. Quick commentary on this very, very upcoming and interesting skill set, which you have sort of mastered, I think, content creation, in CMX report also globally, 40% community managers actually do content creation other than their community role. How significant is content creation for community builders today to learn as a skill, especially with all the AI coming in? I don't expect like teams, like content teams scale a lot. So how does that impact the role of a community builder?
Yeah, I think now with AI, it's going to be easy. But I think previously, I always felt that it's a necessity that every community manager should be like an extrovert. They should be great at comms and great at content creation and all those things. But now with the use of AI, I think it's a sigh of relief for introvert people also who want to sort of just get into this space. But yeah, I worked in the content industry, built a community in that industry itself. So it was very content heavy. Like we would make like a social media calendar. We would make like a blog and newsletter calendar, but we would also make like a community content calendar. So every time, it was not just that I'm waking up in the morning and thinking of putting out a message. It was like dedicatedly like decided upon because it was that kind of a community. And now at inFeedo also, right? I mean, because these are like the highest decision makers, right? Like typically one CHRO handles 50,000 employees or something like that in an enterprise company. So the kind of depth that they would need in a message or let's say in the kind of content that we are putting is really like top notch. So we have to like get into their mindset. We cannot just like, although the frequency of the content would be lesser now, but the depth will be more like in depth. So I think that's like a difference, but it's definitely a good to have skill for any profession actually, I would say, not just the community management or head of community. Like today, if you can do content, you can literally do anything independently also. So like definitely get that skill if you want to do community management.
So, with the advent of obviously the AI, the big elephant in the room and the rapid macroeconomic changes that are taking place around us, the industry is also rapidly changing. So how do you see the community industry evolving in India? Pawan, maybe we can start with you.
You said that this section is going to be short, but this answer can be really, really long. But just the top one or two things, right? I think we will start seeing members being more invested in the community. I feel like today we just get added into 10, 15 different Slack communities and channels, and we are not like really active. But I think that's one thing that like we'll definitely like see a change in, and that would be like a happy change. And second, I would think a lot of innovation in terms of how communities are going to, express themselves or market themselves, like with respect to events or building newsletters, doing social media campaigns and all of those things, that we'll see a lot of innovation. So I think I see those two big things.
How about you, Shruti?
I think community is not for people who are looking for 9-to-5 job. It is a time consuming and a 24/7 hour job. And the engagement comes from that only. How I see AI or the technology taking the places, optimizing things for the community admins and creating more tools in order to have the engagement. For example, if we say WhatsApp and the time they've got polls, etc. Earlier it wasn't Telegram and other stacks, but WhatsApp polls are amazing, right? So those kind of engagement, maybe more towards that, are going to be the key around that.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Pawan, Neha, Shruti. It was lovely having you all. And I'll see you soon. And hopefully, LikeMinds and CMX will continue collaborating for more partnership events and other things. And I'm really, really looking forward to creating this industry with all of you, not just in India, but globally. I am really looking forward to the days where Indian companies' case studies will be shown globally. Like, I really want to see that.
We really want that, to be there for sure. All right.
Super.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Nipun.
everyone.
Thanks, guys.